Ben Shapiro has his moments and may be framed as some right-wing troll, but behind the scenes, he is the mastermind of a $150 million empire built on monetizing outrage. He's fantastic at sparking emotions and directing them to profit off of them, and this is the business of pissing people off, courtesy of Ben Shapiro.
Sometimes you say dumb stuff. That's not on Greta Thunberg. It's on everybody who takes her seriously.
It's the person's decision what they want to do.
So if the family decides to stab them, it's okay to stab the
when they're brain dead? Yeah, if they want to
No, not brain dead. Let's say
I wish you would at least be honest in your own biases.
Mr. Shapiro, I know
are you a member of the...
in America is...
She's irresponsible with her guns.
Has there been any evidence to suggest she was not a good person?
No, but there's been significant evidence
your criteria,
no,
she would have been...
Benjamin Aaron Shapiro was born in 1984 to Jewish Reagan Republican parents who worked in Hollywood. They lived in Los Angeles, California, a liberal and multicultural center of the US, so Ben and his family were a speck of red in a sea of blue. Fast forward a few years and Shapiro, age 16, went to UCLA, graduating a year before he could drink, and yes, for Americans, that's 21, not 18. By that age, he had published 2 books. At 23, he graduated Harvard Law School and decided to have a shot at screenwriting.
I've written a couple comedies, kind of hour-long dramedies for, spec script.
And have they been bought?
No.
He then worked at a law firm, but it's unclear when that too evaporated. In 2012, though, he went to work for Breitbart.com, but left 4 years later when a female reporter was assaulted. Now comes the interesting part, as Shapiro decided to found the Daily Wire alongside his producer friend Jeremy Boring. At the time, they were just creating a product, conservative media in both podcast and video form, something that they felt was lacking on the internet. Little did they know that this podcast would grow into a multi-million-dollar empire. Ben would handle the charismatic, controversial speaker side, and Boring was to handle the boring logistical side. He started a podcast which he claims is the most listened to conservative podcast in America, but of course, to be listened by many, you need to piss off a few.
For example, you said,
sure,
Israelis like to build. Arabs like to bomb crap and live in open sewage.
Arguably, the most notorious clip involving Ben Shapiro is this beauty here.
So, you don't know what you're talking about. You're not educated on genetics.
Would you like to discuss the genetics or
what
are
no.
your genetics?
And this is exactly what gives Ben power, perhaps more than any other of his assets, his ability to manufacture outrage. Whatever side you're on, it's clear he mocks and debates the left every single day. He does the same to the right as well, by amplifying what liberals say and manufacturing anger for certain ideas, and he does this to expand his multi-million-dollar empire that no one really knows about. Yes, I'm talking about the Daily Wire, that thing you've maybe heard Ben promote here and there. Well, it's a lot bigger than any of us could have imagined, but to make money, you need eyeballs. Ben's first really big break in viral content was his debate with Piers Morgan discussing gun control. Ben and his business partner decided that alongside paid marketing, they would engage in controversy and virality, and Piers Morgan, of course, was the perfect target. And there are many more examples where they came from, particularly with the trans woman debate with Zoe Tur.
You cut that out now, or you'll go home in an ambulance.
These all contributed to the Daily Wire growing to the monstrous size it is today, and they're a big reason as to why Ben was able to secure an angel investment.
The initial funding for the company was about $4.7 million in angel investment. We were cash flow positive at 18 months in, and we have been operating off cash flow ever since, and we'll do $200 million in business this year.
As Ben himself says, the company now has 1 million paying subscribers, with subscriptions ranging from $12 to up to $20 a month. At a bare minimum, the Daily Wire is probably making anywhere from $12 to $15 million every single month from paid subscribers alone. And then of course, on top of that, they have paid advertisers who will also pay them millions every single year to promote to their subscriber base. But Ben has an even bigger vision for the company.
The idea is sort of to expand into all the arenas of culture.
Part of culture, of course, is entertainment, but not just for adults, for children as well, something that Ben strongly believes in, as well as his investors, it would seem. And with a budget of $100 million, it's clear they're putting their money where their mouths are. Just a few movies they plan to roll out are The Legend of King Arthur and Atlas Shrugged. And like many large companies, Apple and Coca-Cola for instance, the Daily Wire wants to branch out. They want to diversify their revenue streams and potential for growth. Apple did this by creating an ecosystem built around their watches, MacBooks, iPads, AirPods, and of course iPhones. Coca-Cola did this by acquiring many different beverage brands with the aim of creating consistent income that isn't tied to the Coca-Cola iconography. Of course, part of growing though is creating enemies, and what Ben & Jerry did in response couldn't have been anticipated. Now, as we know, the Daily Wire has 1 million subscribers, and one of the company's revenue streams is advertisers.
When they, like Harry's did to us, put out these tweets that say our values are inexcusable, they're essentially telling all of your other advertisers that the only excusable thing to do would be to also drop.
Jeremy is referring to Harry's Razors, a company like Gillette that sells razors and men's hygiene products, and a previous sponsor of the Daily Wire. Gillette is the company he's referring to that dropped them with concerns that their views on gender are inexcusable, and they pulled their advertising.
They condemned our views held by millions of Americans and virtually every human who's walked the planet until about 15 minutes ago, as inexcusable. And they dropped their ads from our network because of what they called values misalignment.
In response, Jeremy fought back and declared war in the most amusing and creative way possible. So Jeremy grabs a literal flamethrower and he burns Harry's and Gillette for their woke views and for dropping the Daily Wire. Their marketing tactics have been amusing and fantastic for engagement, with Jeremy's Twitter garnering more followers than Gillette themselves, who've been on the platform for well over a decade. Not to mention the not insignificant fact that Jeremy's Razors gained nearly 60,000 paid subscribers in just their first month alone, and assuming everyone bought the cheapest $12 shave cream, they did at a bare minimum $720,000 in revenue in their first month. This just goes to show how much of a cult following and belief conservative followers of Tom and Jerry have, supporting them this much. And the brand isn't limited to just these two streams of income. It's affiliated with Jordan Peterson, Brett Cooper, Matt Walsh, and many more conservative commentators who share their exclusive content on the Daily Wire. Now, if you found Jeremy starting a razor company as revenge against a sponsor amusing, you'll find Brett Cooper even more amusing. Many liken her to Ben Shapiro both in terms of beliefs and looks, and to be fair, even I can see Brett being Ben if he was a female. They talk at around the same pace and they have the same groomed eyebrows, possibly thanks to Jeremy's precision cut razors, and they are both part of the Daily Wire family. And a recent advert was released with the same team taking fire at another out of control woke brand, Hershey, who decided to pile on top and try to change the definition of a woman. So we have that awful business decision to thank for this frankly hilarious advert.
My name is Faye Johnstone. I'm the executive director of Wisdom to Action. We can create a world where everyone is able to live in public space as their honest and authentic selves. See the woman changing how we see the future at Hershey's Canada.
And every week at this point, another brand seems to succumb to the woke mind virus as they bring on utterly deplorable brand ambassadors and cause multi-billion-dollar routes of their stock prices, all in the name of inclusion. Bud Light being the brand in the crosshairs today, and so we have to wonder how long until these business geniuses find a beer brand to partner up with to release their own light beer intent on taking down Bud Light. Now, good things always come to an end, but in the case of Bud Light, was it really ever good to begin with? And frauds always come to an end too, and you can find out exactly what happened with some YouTube frauds with this video here.